Because some of you are just learning from random people on the internet that you have no idea what they know or who they are or what their background is or what their qualifications are, whatever. They're just somebody out there producing something and you watched it. And so he says, look, you stay in what you've learned and trusted. So why are you trusting? Well, you should trust because you have tasted, vetted, and done all the things necessary so that you can trust something. He says, I want you to stay in that. So why is he saying to stay in it? Because the temptation is going to be, once you're exposed to other things that are out there, which you'll always be, that you might jump ship and go in a different direction. And he's saying, there's a problem with that going on here, and you need to stay in what you have learned and know who you learned it from, and trust because you know who you learned it from, and you know the source, and you know the qualifications of that source. So you stay there. That from a babe you have known the set-apart scriptures, which are able to make you wise for deliverance. Okay, so the set-apart scriptures. Let's just stop there for a second. What is he talking about? No, I know this is hard, especially for you guys who are watching that are still trying to figure this out, or you're still very Christian-minded because you were raised in that. The New Testament was not available to anybody when this is being written. So it's not referring to the New Testament. See, a lot of you just assume that, as soon as Messiah was resurrected, the New Testament just manifested itself and available to everybody. Nobody had these things. Matter of fact, they barely had access to the Tanakh because the Old Testament, the Tanakh was something you had to go to the temple for because people just didn't have copies like you do now. We have a challenge with perspective. See, I want you guys to understand when you say things like, well, I was saved in 1920 this or 1940 that or 2000. No, you were delivered out of a certain level of ignorance in that moment. That's when you were made aware there was other options in your life. So yes, that's an important moment. You weren't saved. As a matter of fact, you were just barely getting started. But you were delivered out of ignorance, or you were now given information that you never had before, or certainly didn't know was real and relevant. And so that process, by the way, happens over and over again as you keep getting more revealed to you and you get delivered out of more stupidity and you start doing less foolish things and more things that are filled with wisdom and understanding. That's a continuous growth process. And the source that he was teaching out of, the scriptures, in the context of Messiah, is part of what he's saying, hold on to that, stay in that. By the way, we have people today with this big problem too, where they'll end up deciding, okay, I'm gonna focus on the scriptures, forget about Messiah, and I'm gonna end up in Judaism. I watch this happen on a regular basis, okay? And it can come in all kinds of different forms. It usually comes from, I've had one guy, I don't know how many years ago, used to be part of the congregation. The guy said to me, well, what do you think? I wanted to go to this online yeshiva, this Jewish yeshiva. And I said, that's fine. Just realize you're going to probably end up in Judaism. Oh, no. Guess where he is? Judaism. All right. Paul's encouraging him, says, look, stay in the set-apart scriptures, but also that you're doing this and understanding that it's wise for deliverance through belief in Messiah Yeshua. Those people that are interpreting Galatians and other things, do they understand that when you're picking on that somehow the Torah is no good and it's this and that and all these other awful things that they try to say, Paul just told Timothy that the Old Testament is profitable. Just that enough, that should be it right there. It's profitable. So why would you do away with it? For teaching, for reproof, for setting straight. See, you know what you don't have in the New Testament? There's no setting straight or reproof. If that's all you're using and getting rid of the Tanakh and getting rid of the Torah. I'm saying from Christianity's point of view. Now, of course, you look at it actually and read what they really say. There's plenty of reproof and plenty of setting straight in the New Testament. But I'm saying Christianity wants to make it basically say, no, anything good Messiah did and anything bad the devil did, so that you don't have actually any reproof. But you are to repent, whatever that means. I've gotten jobs in my life, and in those jobs I had to produce an ID, and I had to produce a social security card, I had to do all these other things just to get a job that paid minimum wage. But you're going to tell me that it's racist to require an ID to vote. And I'm going to tell you that's racist. You're saying that the people that are in the minority can't get an ID, aren't smart enough to walk over to the DMV and get an ID? Like they're not capable of getting an ID? See, you're insulting them, claiming to protect them. Well, you know what? You're insulting us when you say, well, we're just too stupid and not capable to do Torah, so the great creator of the universe was an idiot to give us something he knew we couldn't do. So thank God, which is a stupid way to say it, that the Son came and undid all that. Look, I was given a long time ago, and you can consider it anointed or inspired, or you can think it's stupid, I don't care. It's whatever it is you interpret. But I was going to a conference one time, and I was speaking, or a congregation I was speaking at, and a person contacted me, I don't know how they got my number, called me and wanted to know what I was teaching. And what it came down to was they wanted to make sure I lined up with them, and they were talking about things as a salvation issue. Well, is that a salvation issue? This is a salvation issue. And that's when I prayed, and I was like, Father, what in the world is a salvation issue? What is a salvation issue? And the answer I got was becoming the type of person I want to live with forever. That's the only issue. Can you keep Sabbath and be a lover of self and money and boaster and all that? Sure you can. Can you keep the feast? Can you eat right? In other words, can you do equal weights and measures? I mean, you could keep and have a form of reverence, but still be an awful person. Okay? So that's what we have to understand. He says, turn away from these. They have a form of reverence, but they're denying its power. What do you mean by denying its power? What is the power of all of this? What is reverence supposed to do? What's the power of reverence? Transformation. So they're denying the power of it. In other words, it's not transforming them. These people are not being transformed into him. They're just mechanically doing certain things and not doing certain things, and it's not transforming them. They're the same awful person they were before. Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. In other words, you're always seeking Gnostically information, but without guidance and without receiving the information properly and then acting upon it, you never come to the relationship with truth. The knowledge is a relational thing, right? The relationship with truth. Some of you are that way. Study, but you're not keeping. I've got a lot of people that comes to certain Torah commands, they're like, well, I haven't finished studying that yet, so I'm not doing it. Well, how much do you need to study? How long should it take you to figure out you need to do certain things or stop doing certain things? Where are you in this mix? Now remember, this is not about you, it's about him, but he wants it to be about you because that's what he wants for him. Okay? Anything that he wants for you, it's still because it's what he wants for him. He wants you to become something that's for him. He wants to bless you, that's for him. But it's still for you. What's your part in all of this? I mean, we read that little parable of the good and trustworthy servant, and we want to hear those words, well done. Of course, it's done, means you had to do something. Well done. Nobody ever tells you well done if you did nothing. Okay? It just doesn't happen. Well done. And you're like, well, I didn't do anything.